Hi, this is Oliver. Well, anyway, we call him Oliver. This is a great horned owl. And we are in Tucson, Arizona. Wildlife Rehabilitation Northwest Tucson Education Program. This owl was brought to us a few years ago. 2.5, 3 years ago, something like that. From an impact with a vehicle. Its right wing does not sit quite right. You can see how it's lower than his left wing, how he tucks that one in quite nicely. Also, when it arrived to us, when it was brought to us by whoever found him, it had a pretty good concussion. So, since then it's been kind of like a mellow owl, which gives us the opportunity to be able to work with it, being that it's not releasable back into the wild. He can't really fly. He can get from perch to perch in this large aviary. The aviary is large enough for this size bird. Large enough for this size bird with this type of flight, which is very limited. So we have these perches approximately 4 or 5 feet apart, 6 feet apart, and if he jumps over the middle one, then he can fly about 10 feet. That's about maximum for this bird. Anyway, great horned owls. How much do you weigh? 1,400 grams? I just weighed you, and I didn't write it down. We're going to weigh you again. Anyway, about 1,400 grams. And they are nighttime birds. You'll often see them at dawn or dusk as well. They're not strictly nocturnal. And in the daytime you'll see them up in a tree hanging out, maybe tucked away, very camouflaged, looking like the bark of some of the trees. Oak trees, pine trees, mesquite trees. In the urban environments they're often taking over nests up in palm trees even. But great horned owls do not build their own nest. They burrow, usually hawk nests, usually red-tailed hawks. So great horned owls, their mating season is early spring, earlier than the red-tailed hawks. So the red-tailed hawks from the previous summer have fledged and left the nest, and the adults have gone. The nest sits open, early spring comes around. These guys say, looky there, open apartment. And they move in and take over the nest. And then sometimes the hawks come back, red-tailed hawks come back prior to these guys vacating, and there's a little bit of a skirmish. Usually the owls win. The owls are kind of like the tiger of the sky. Very aggressive. They eat anything they can catch, anything that's smaller than them or within reason. They have very large, broad wings that offer them tremendous lift, that they can actually carry something quite heavy for their body weight. Then they take off to the nest and rip this food apart and feed it to the young, or take pieces of it from wherever they had swooped down upon it in the evening. Pack rats, cottontail rabbits, little raccoons, little skunks, possum, you name it, huh? Other birds. These birds are all over the Americas, widespread territory. We did a program video on the Harris's hawk, which is a limited habitat to our area, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, down through Central America, Mexico. Anyway, the Sonoran Desert area, these great horned owls all the way up into Canada, all the way down South America. These eyes, usually focused on me, but these eyes, okay, those eyes are made for the evening. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back. These eyes are large compared to hawk's eyes, which are small, like binocular. These pupils can get, goodness, like the size of a nickel and allow in a lot of light. So they have some decent vision in the dark. They also have some good hearing. Their ears on either side of the head, like mine. However, they don't have all this exterior skin portion, and one of them is inverted, and they're also not symmetrically located. One of them's a little higher up, one of them's a little lower down, and you'll see them doing this with their head moving around, and they're sort of focusing in on the sound as to where their prey is, where that little peck rat's scurrying around, where the cottontail's scurrying around. Yes, this breathing here is a little bit of anxiety, a little agitation, being that there's a human messing with it. Anyway, it's called a great horned owl because they have these things, little feathers that poke up on the head. You can also hold them down, which he's doing now. They are not horns, nor are they ears. They're feathers that stick up, and probably for posturing and presenting to another owl, some sort of a communication or presentation type thing. Their feet. Look at these feet. Look at those talons. They're quite powerful. These talons are designed to come down, grab whatever it is that's its prey, and pretty much crush it right there and kill it. They have 3 and 1, and then this one can swing around, so they can have 2 and 2 for 2 in the front, 2 in the back. Big grab. They have feathers all the way down to those talons. The Harris's hawk, as a contrast, has feathers down to the joint in the leg, and then bare skin, that yellow skin all the way down. These fellas have the feathers all the way down to the talons. Their feathers, differently than hawks, are also designed to have this leading edge shape, a physical shape, kind of like a combing that more smoothly cuts through the air, causing less distortion, less sound. So their flight is very quiet, almost silent, coming through the night, so therefore that pack rat or that cottontail rabbit may not even hear it swooping down. So you'll hear someone say, "Hey, I was outside last night and this big hawk came flying down and went whoosh." Well, the truth of the matter is, hey, I was outside last night and this big owl, did I say hawk? So if it was a hawk, it did go whoosh, and it wasn't at night, unless it was lost. The story goes, hey, I was out last night and this owl came down and went right across. It was awesome. Yes, it didn't make a sound most of the time. You'll hear them flap the wings when they're taking off, or you'll hear the scrape of their talons as they're pushing off, or when they're landing on something. But it's usually the other material that's making the sound. Hoo, 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 is their voice. It's most owls will screech or whistle or such, but these owls are the ones they call hoot owls. So if you're out at night and you hear hoo, 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 much lower, I can't do that, that's these guys. They do not hunt in a group. They'll be the mated pair that will be hunting to take care of the current young growing up in the nest. They'll take turns doing that. But generally speaking, these will be somewhere alone, hanging out. If there is a family that's growing up in your area, you'll hear a couple of them. The boss pair, maybe it's the mom and the dad, they'll be talking. They'll be the ones hooting and the other ones will remain quiet. They'll need to go find their own place for them to start their own hooting. The patterning on these birds is quite complex. We've got this kind of a striping on the front, and then as we get around the back, this is when he tries to fly, we get a different kind of patterning and a different kind of striping. The tail has different striping on it. All of this stuff is very, very good patterning for camouflaging against the trees or up in the trees. So during the daytime when there's a lot of, look at that tail. during the daytime when there's a lot of animals out that might mess with this bird. There it goes. See, it didn't even get to that shelf over there. Ended up on the ground. But it can still flap its wings quite well. And you heard noise as it was flapping those wings because there's a misshapen bone structure from its injury when it had the impact with the vehicle. The bones calcified and healed with a twist. So as it's flying, it's kind of like if you see an airplane up in the sky with a tipped wing. It's not going to do real well. I'll take it in for repairs. Anyway, I am not going to go pick up Oliver again. That's the second time is good enough. And we do respect our animals here, as that they are in captivity and they cannot get out and roam freely as they would normally be doing. But if this bird was to be out, it wouldn't be able to catch its food, and it would probably get attacked by something that wanted to hurt it. So that's Oliver the great horned owl, and I look forward to next time. Have a good day. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. Love you.